So I had this great opportunity today, and John Anderson had this great opportunity today that we went to the DFW Economic Growth Seminar put on by Old Republic. Shout out to Old Republic. Who invited you?
So Rachel Sims, she's out of the Hollyville office of Old Republic. So we've done some deals with her, and she said, "Hey, come check it out." So I was there.
So Beth Ann Chance was awesome, and she invited us, and me and Ben both got to come. And she's out of the Flower Mound office. And I thought Old Republic did a phenomenal job. We both know Wayne, and Wayne Salmon say he spoke, and I thought what his takeaways were really good. I don't know what yours were on that.
Well, I can tell you from Old Republic standpoint, when you get 600 people in the housing industry, realtors, lenders to actually show up to something, like
That's a big deal.
you're doing
That's a
pretty dang
big
good.
deal. Right? Really, it was a plethora of knowledge. So I really appreciated the content and what they talked about. And, I just felt like what we should do is just take 10 minutes, kind of unpack what you got out of it, what I got out of it. You're going to have a realtor perspective, and maybe we should talk a little bit about your perspective from Field House Realty. You also have a kind of a unique perspective to the market. And at the end, Dr. Mark Dotzer spoke. He's an economist and an interesting personality. I've known him for, I don't want to tell you how many years I have known him. So it was interesting today when I saw him in the hall before his speech. And he's like, "Hey, I know you from a long time ago." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot." This was the younger version. But anyway, and I'm still here, so that's a good thing. But I want to unpack a little bit about what his economic perspective was and then kind of where we're at. But you have a kind of an interesting read on the market because not only are you a realtor, but then your dad, he's a builder and y'all have had some build projects in Sherman, I understand. So why don't you kind of just give me kind of a little bit of, little couple minute take on your read lately?
Yeah, so if it has to do with a house, I'm involved with it. I have my license, Fieldhouse Realty. We buy and sell. Then my stepdad owns a company. We design homes and we build homes. So when it comes to houses, like inside out, I know them. So we sell quite a bit up in the Sherman Denison area. And what I think all this comes down to, though, is perspective. A lot of it has to do with perspective, right? So in the actual Denison community, the old timers there that have been there for 50, 60 years, I'm not going to lie to you, they hate us. They think we're selling these houses for way too much money. 1200 square foot starter home, right? We closed on one a month ago and it went for 249, right?
Okay.
1200 square feet. And they think that is the most outrageous thing you've ever heard of, right?
So they think that's outrageous even though it adds to their tax base,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
yeah.
But these,
Okay.
the old timers, they don't have kids anymore. They don't want to pay, school taxes. You guys are ruining our, that whole story,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So to them, though, they're like 250 for a 1200 square foot house. That's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard of in Denison, Texas, right? But I have a list a mile long of Dallas investors that want to suck up as many houses they possibly can for $250,000 because they think that's the best bargain in the world right now. So a lot of that, it comes down to perspective. And what we're dealing with right now in our real estate market when you're buying and selling homes, it all has to do with perspective too. I think there's a shock that you probably know more than even I do. The
Yeah.
shock value of when you wake up and the rates are what, and that's going to do what to my payment. Well, again, it's kind of a perspective thing
Mhm.
because let's talk 6, 8 months ago whenever you were paying 3.2 rate, right?
Mhm.
And you had a $500,000 home, but you had to offer 600 for that $500,000 home, right? Even though you had
Mhm.
a great rate, you had to pay 100 grand over asking for that bad boy. Well, now
Mhm.
here we are in that five
Yep.
hundred thousand dollar house. Well, it's kind of been sitting there for a minute now, and we might have a little negotiating power, and you can buy that house for 480 at okay a 6% rate, but there's even more options to you available now that you even know more about than I do from the lending side of it. So it's all kind of you'll talk to some people, the real estate market is, what is it saying? We're dying, right? It's falling apart. We're all going to be homeless in a month. That's not the case. Because if you talk to the right person who understands the market and understands lending like you and your options, you can still get into a house for a decent price.
Right. Well, and the thing is that what I really appreciated about what they talked about today was where we live.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, specific, like really down and dirty, specific, like when Dr. Dotzer was talking about bullish, he goes, I would be so bullish, right, in the DFW area. And he was talking about like employee numbers and like all of the people that have like the rate of employment growth here, just recently adding 295,000 jobs. in the last, 10 months. It's tripled its typical pace. Well, employees, they have to live somewhere. What drives housing? Drives housing is you have to have shelter, investment, yes, but shelter. So it drives that. And also that I thought that the statistic, and I got all these I'm pulling these from the event today, but the cities that are facing huge challenges because of organized retail crime, and the top 10 list on there, we're not on it.
Mm-mm.
Dallas is not on it. Fort Worth is not on it. Plano is not on it. Flower Mound, where my office is not on it, which means that they don't have concern. Like what I really appreciated what he was talking about is these employees that are like concerned to go to work every day because of crime. And I just thought that was just an amazing statistic. And all of the other metropolitan cities, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, all these other cities that are on that people are they're leaving and they're coming to Texas. And so that helps us, but we also, let's talk about this a little bit. It's perspective, right? Inventory. We obviously, can't get them to build affordable houses fast enough. I mean, there's that. When now house doesn't, fly off the shelf in 2 hours and it sits for 2 weeks, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it has sat for 2 weeks." And how absurd is that? Like, can you speak a little bit to that, because it really is rather absurd. And like it's okay when something is on the market for, 3 weeks or a month or, something, right?
Right. So again, let's talk perspective, right? Let's rewind just a little bit. Let's go back to, let's just say 2018. Okay. 2018, when everything seemed relatively normal for the most part.
It
You
was
went to
never
list your
normal.
house.
But
Well,
yeah.
right. That perspective though, right? And you'd
Mhm.
come, you talk, say, "Hey John, I want to sell my house. This is what we're gonna do." I'd sit down and say, "Hey, here's what we're looking at. Here's your normal days on market. We're probably gonna be 30 to 32 days. That's on, then we're gonna have another 30 to close. So you'll be 60 days out from getting your money, right?"
Right.
And 8 months ago, I'd put your house on the market. Before I could finish putting it in MLS, somebody would call me. We'd have a cash offer and we'd close it in 3 weeks, right? That's
Right.
so unrealistic. It's crazy. Like, it's still kind
Right.
of baffling to think that that actually happened.
That's what
That
was actually happening, yes.
right,
And
it
how
was
frustrating was that?
right. It was literally insane to an extent. But being on the market for 30 days is not a it's not a bad thing. Like,
No.
that's normal. It's normal to sit there for 30 to 40 days to have, 3 or 4 showings a week kind of thing instead of 25 in one day. Like, that's normal. And again, it's perception. The perception over the last 2 years is we're going to have 30 showings in the first 2 hours. We're going to have 38 offers. 10 of them didn't even look at it. It's going to be a cash offer. We're going to close in 3 weeks. I'll make 100,000 over asking. That's not normal. That's
No,
not
right.
normal.
I
What?
and I that I've never in 20 years have never seen it like that. And I have so much, and I know you do too, so much empathy for the first time home buyer, and people that had decided to step into the market, and then it was brutal, for them.
Yeah.
And I think about our first responders, our teachers, our firefighter, our police. They have to find housing, and how difficult and how challenging that was. And some of them left, right? They
Oh,
left the building, and what I would say to those people right now is come back, step back.
yeah.
The water is fine. Put your toe in it. It's not that cold anymore. It has normalized. I don't even
Right.
want to say leveled off. I want to say normalized. Like one of the things that Dr. Dotzer was talking about today was that, a normal market is, 6 months of inventory. We don't have 6 months of inventory, but we have 2.2 months of inventory, so that's not 2 hours of inventory like what it felt like from before.
No,
So,
for sure. And one thing that he touched that actually uh it kind of blew my mind a little bit from the conference
okay.
was when, so we start talking about home prices and what's happening in the market, and are we looking at 2008 again? Is it all going to crash on our heads, right?
Right, right.
Which he's like, absolutely not. That's insane
Yeah.
to talk about.
And he
But
had a right, and just to give people that don't know who he is, he's been around a minute, right?
oh,
I
the
mean,
guy got paid to study that, like, literally
yeah.
read the most boring charts in the world to put together to come up with future predict. I think the guy, and the crazy part is he's been doing this for 40, 50 years. And like,
Yes.
he is right way more than he's wrong. Like the
Right.
guy is on point with everything that he has. But do you remember what he said where the month of inventory is to where your house actually starts losing its value? Where the housing market, the months of inventory where prices actually start in a healthy standard market, where that number needs to be.
Gosh, I don't remember what he said.
10 and a half months.
Oh, that's right.
At
That
10 and
is
a
right.
half months where there's so many houses on the market and not enough buyers, prices start dropping in order to entice people to buy your house. We are
Mhm.
at 2.2 months right now.
Right.
Prices are not dropped. Like we're,
Right.
we're coming back to normal. These
Right.
numbers are coming back to normal. The astronomical numbers we've had over the last 2 years are normalizing. Yes,
Mhm.
that number is dropping, but it's not because the market's unhealthy. It's not because our economy is exploding and we're all going to be homeless tomorrow. It's because our market's coming back to what it should be,
Right.
not because
And the
anything.
thing is, the reason I think he followed that up too, I'm sorry I interrupted there. When he was talking about the area here being like bullish,
Oh,
is then when he started giving all the employee numbers, John Deere,
oh
they're
yeah,
moving here, all these other companies, and we don't want to say, what state those businesses are fleeing from, but they are. And those businesses are coming here and those employees are coming here. That's why they were talking about the job growth. So that's all good for us. I think that's good for us. I think it's good for our builders, and
no,
uh,
absolutely.
I think
One
all
thing
that's good.
he talks about our market being bullish, right? There's an investor that I work with out of Atlanta. I've known him since I was a kid. And one thing he told me, so we all, the '08 housing crash and how crazy everything got back then, right?
You were like 12
Uh,
then. Yeah, I
I was
know. I
maybe
was
8, but I was
okay.
there. I
I
was
was
there.
here.
I was there. Yeah. But he told me, he said, man, he comes into Texas every quarter. I eat dinner with him. And he said, man, back in '08 in Georgia, where I live, it was insane. He said, we literally had people in tents on the side of streets. Like, it was nutty. He's like, but I would fly into Dallas Fort Worth Airport and I would walk out the airport and it was like business like usual in Dallas. Get on the highway. He's like, in Georgia, I saw usually I'd see 50 cars on the highway. I'd see four. People weren't driving. They weren't putting gas in their cars. Stuff was bad. In Dallas, I walked out and it was normal. People were going to work. People weren't losing their houses here. And that has a lot to do with our market here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and how stuff operates around us here locally. Because if you turn on
And
whatever your news,
employment.
right, employment, our
Yes.
employment numbers are much higher than other places around the
Yeah.
country.
Right.
But if you turn on whatever news source you love, whatever it's Fox or MSNBC or whatever you watch, both of them are preaching right now that we're going into a recession and the economy is going to be terrible and this and they're going to scare the tar out of you. But when you break it down into micro size cities, environments, right? Dallas Fort Worth is killing it. We're
Mhm.
absolutely killing it. And our home prices are going to do the same. I hate to say it, but they're going to do the same. They're
Mhm.
going to kill it. Once we
Yeah.
level out, you know what's going to start happening again? They're going to start going back up at 5 to 8% a year, just like they did in the normal time. It's just we're in such our own little bubble here in Dallas Fort Worth that is super healthy compared to the rest of the country. Like, don't believe everything you hear. Talk to the people who are here who deal with the Stacys of the world who do
I
loans every day.
understand.
The Johns of the world, who I'm running in and out of houses all day long, talking to people
Right.
all day long. We're like, oh, everybody's losing their job. That's funny. I don't know anybody who's lost a job right now. No, I
Right.
mean, during COVID, things got weird there for a little bit, but like currently, is there anybody looking for a job that can't find a job in Dallas Fort Worth? And if you are, reach out to me because I got 30 people I know that hook you up with a job right now.
Right,
But it's
right.
just
Well,
different.
we want to hire some loan officers, I know that, like we do, and there's so many specialty products. And sometimes when we put people on our team, it's like, okay, I want you to study this product and I want you to know it inside and out, so that we can, specialize in this product. Any time, I don't know. We have a plethora. I've not been able not to find a product that would fit for a certain situation, even if that was a self-employed borrower, even if that was a situation where it was a no doc and we're just doing it based on credit and assets, FHA, VA. I've not yet been able to find a product that would fit a certain situation.
No,
Now,
for sure.
And I will say this, having not been 12 in the '08 era, and the difference of lending now versus then is we don't have it's not the same because it's not easy money. You know, there was we people still have to qualify. You know, like
Oh,
we're qualifying for the money. Um we're not there's no we're not fogging any mirrors. They have to you have to have credit and assets and you know employment if we're going to go that direction. So I don't it's not it's just a very different market, you know, in that regard. I like what he said. uh his key real estate investment key and the spa quotient. I loved the spa quotient. Safety for residents living in the area, protection of business located in the area, positive local attitude towards employers. That I can't say that enough about that quote in some of our local areas. And you live in Bedford, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
North right there on the Colleyville line, and I mean, even speaking to that, right? We're talking about jobs and employment, and I mean, the job market's changing. Let's be honest. Like what people
Yeah.
expect and what they want, it's totally different. But even in that scenario, like if you have a job that you're not happy with and you need a change and you want to cool, go talk to Stacy. She's looking for people. She wants hardworking people. You need a gig? Come talk to me. I can help you make some money right now. We can get you going in the right direction. The thing, like that's like I said, there's so much doom and gloom that when you talk to people on the news, and that's not the perception
That's
of
not the
the world
reality.
I
Yeah.
live in right now. There's
No.
people around me every day making tons of money. And if you're in a situation that you're hurt, like talk to us. I want to help Dallas Fort Worth. We're killing it. And we want to help you kill it too.
Yeah.
Whether that be on a new house, a new job, whatever the case may be, we want to help you. And living in Dallas Fort Worth is helping you as a consumer. So
Oh,
this is the
yeah.
right area. I mean, the other stat he threw out was what is it? 10 million new people will move to the Dallas Fort Worth area in the next 8 years. 10
Yes.
million.
Million. 10 million.
Million.
So if you're sitting on the fence, so you know, from a real estate agent, you probably heard that this way from a lender standpoint. What I heard was all of the prequals, qualification letters that we've produced that people have decided they're scared and of the rates or whatnot, and they're going to hold back and wait a year. Like I've heard this a lot. Oh, we're nervous. The news says it's not good, and they're going to wait a year. And what I was thinking to myself is what he was saying is a year from that no, a year from now they're more expensive. The cost of doing them, the cost of building them, it's more expensive. And why? Why would you wait? You know, and because there's so many other options. And the other thing is I asked him from a mortgage banker's perspective. I went and after the fact and went up and asked him and I said, "What's the two things, you know, that you would say if we want to grow sustain our business and grow our business?" And he was like fear mitigation, and I love that. Fear mitigation, what can we educate, how can we educate, which leads me to what we talked about right after was the navigation of home ownership. So we do a navigating of home ownership class the first Thursday of every single month, and it's always the different people. There's realtors that bring their people on there, people that just come. I don't care where they could be, in Texas, they could be, it doesn't matter what state they're in. Well,
Right.
it's we talk about all the different areas of the process, like credit, debt to income. Why do you need a realtor? Why does people think, like, I understand, like now we've become the age of YouTube, right? If
Uh,
I don't know how to do it or put it together, I go to YouTube. It tells me, you know. So just as we wrap this up a little bit, what would you say about that? Like when people think that they, you know, can do it themselves, I can sell it myself, I can purchase it myself, I can do it all myself. What would you say to that?
if your engine exploded, would you fix it yourself? I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
would you? Would you go out and buy all the tools you need to fix your engine? Would you go to the specialty markets you have to find to replace the parts inside of your engine? Do you know where to find the fluids that go inside your engine? And then do you have the expertise to put it all back together? Right? More than
Right.
likely, the answer, unless you're a licensed mechanic, the answer to that's probably no. You wouldn't do it yourself.
Right.
So why would you? I had a client, a lady I talked to the other day. She was for sell by. She went through the whole process, right?
Right.
Needless to say, I'm not going to get into the because I could talk about this for an hour if I get on my soapbox here. But needless to say, it ended up she bought this house, and then when she got into the house, her insurance company made her replace her roof immediately, and they did not cover her new roof because it was the way her loan and her contract and everything was structured and put together, and she ended up paying an extra. Oh, it was like almost 10 grand for a new 11 grand, I think it was, for the new roof. And if you would have chatted with me before you ever bought that house, we would have crossed that bridge. I would have saved her money on buying the house because it was overpriced at the time. This was about 2 years ago, but it was overpriced. We could have saved her money. She wouldn't have had to drop 11 grand to fix her own roof. But there's a tons of things that like you don't like. I would never do an open heart surgery on somebody because I don't know how it works.
Right.
It's just the truth. And in real estate, there are so many hoops and battles, and there's fine lines of things that like unless you do it every single day, you just don't know. And then on the flip side of that, if you're buying a house, are you kidding me? My services are free. Where are you going to find a heart surgeon that'll do that for free? You're not. But I'll help you buy a house for free. It costs you nothing. If you're
Right.
buying a house, why are you not using a realtor? Like
Yeah,
that,
right.
it blows my
I
mind. It's
know. They do
crazy.
it all the time. And I get contracts all the time and they don't have a realtor. And so then, I order title work. I look, try to navigate it with them a little bit. But that you have to have partners in the process and you have to have a licensed partner in the process. The other thing is that I think home ownership can be an emotional decision,
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
and you have to have licensed people that can just be business. Just can we just be it's a business, and you need someone that can make responsible decisions and have good judgment that are even emotionally, and can give advice on that basis. I was right before we got on the call, I was talking to a previous customer, a repeat customer, and I was like, he was trying to be his own expert. Don't be your own expert. You find an expert.
All right.
Right? I'm not, I mean, for real, your surgery thing. Don't be your own expert. I'm the expert. So let me perform the surgery on the loan documents.
Right.
Let me help,
Even
Yes,
if I
yes.
go to YouTube to learn how to do a heart surgery, I'm
Oh
still
god.
probably going to mess it up.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
I'm not
Experts in the
That's
field,
what education is for. That's the other
right?
thing. Like that's why you go and you have education. Like the intensity of getting a real estate license, like they don't set it up for it to be an easy test to pass. Same thing with the mortgage license. So,
Right. It's right. And the other part of it is real estate in general is this ever changing, evolving structure, right? Things you know as well as I do, things change on a daily basis from
yes,
what's legal to
guidelines.
not legal
Guidelines
to
change
guidelines to
every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 times in the same day it feels like,
the
but
same.
guidelines change all the time. That's right. New
And it's
loan products, guidelines. Yep.
right. And it's our job to keep up with those on a literally daily basis. And then you're going to try to do this by yourself. Like it's kind of like the overnight millionaires you see, right? Like they're out
Right.
there, but there's a successful seller by owner. They did it with zero hiccups. But I promise you there's also 999 other people that tried to did it, do it and they got ripped off and they lost money in the process. There was legal issues. They got taken to court. I mean, it's their story. Sure, it can be done, but I'm not
Yeah.
doing a heart surgery. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna find a heart surgeon, and a damn
Right.
find a reputable heart surgeon that I know's done good work in the past. Like that's just
Perfect.
how it works.
I love what JC Johnson said today too about contracts.
Oh yeah,
Educate your consumer on why they need you, a licensed person, because of the contract. And he was talking specific about something that's gone on now for 6 years with the the appraisal
oh
piece
yeah.
in FHA loans being it's like, oh, in the contracts they're involved. And when he was talking specifically about the special provision of the contract, I was like, "Oh my gosh," like you can't put that in special provisions.
No,
But
don't.
yeah,
Only people
right.
that are touching special provisions are attorneys, and if the attorneys ain't putting in special provisions, don't do it. And if you're
Right.
If your realtor is putting stuff in special provisions without an attorney, you're working with the wrong realtor. I'm just telling you that straight up. Like we're just
Right.
being honest on that front. So
Yes.
it's
I
but
love
it's
it.
crazy. It's I mean, again, it's perception and reality, right? Like
Right.
what's actually happening in our market right this second, and what are other people telling you is happening in our
Right.
market?
Yeah, absolutely. I know there was a lot to unpack from today, but I left refreshed. I thought, even though like I know a lot of people thought that the economist at the end was brutal, but I like brutal truth because it helps me to create a business plan, which I always start working on in October for the following year. And brutal truth is okay. I do appreciate what he said, as it relates to interest rates, putting them in perspective, and thinking about the cost of housing next year if you don't do it now, and thinking about when interest rates might breathe, and you know, fasten your seatbelt. Could be a bumpy ride. Relax. I like that too. But I think that we are in such a I think I'm so glad we live, and I'm so glad that we have businesses in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So
No, absolutely. The area we live in is amazing, and if you're in Joe Schmo, Illinois, you might be getting hurt pretty hard here in the next few
yeah,
months.
I don't know, man. I don't know where that's located, but I'm not going to be there. Even the rural areas that are moving out of Illinois or moving into different areas, and it just again, I love the spa quotient. That was my favorite part today. I don't know what your favorite part, but that was really my favorite part. So anyway, well, I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate us having just a chance to like educate the consumer. We're going to continue to do stuff like this. Probably should talk again, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Well, anytime you need me, I got your back.
There you go.